In the midst of World War II, as Nazi Germany's fortunes began to wane, a growing chorus of disillusionment resonated within the very heart of the German military. High-ranking officers and conspirators, men who had once pledged absolute loyalty, began to believe that Adolf Hitler's increasingly irrational decisions were dooming the nation. Today, we explore two of the most notorious assassination plots against the Führer: a daring 1943 bomb attempt aboard his plane and the infamous July 20th, 1944 Operation Valkyrie plot. By 1943, Germany was being pushed to the brink. Setbacks on both the eastern and western fronts were mounting, and the once seemingly unstoppable Nazi war machine was faltering. Military leaders, desperate to salvage a nation teetering on the edge of collapse, began to see Hitler not as a savior, but as a man whose relentless, often irrational decisions were sealing Germany's fate. In this climate of despair, a radical idea began to take hold. If Hitler could be eliminated, perhaps a new government could be formed, one that might negotiate a peace with the Western Allies and possibly spare Germany from the full devastation of a Soviet invasion. The first of these daring schemes took shape on March 13th, 1943. A group of determined German army officers hatched a plan to plant a bomb aboard Hitler's plane, a move that, if successful, could have altered the course of history. The idea was both bold and fraught with risk. The conspirators believed that by striking the Führer at such a vulnerable moment, they could immediately cut off his influence and trigger the political changes necessary to save the nation. However, as often happens with high-stakes plans, a series of small yet critical miscalculations doomed the effort before it could succeed. The bomb was equipped with a faulty detonator. Even if the explosive had worked perfectly, its placement on the plane was less than ideal. A heavy table nearby inadvertently shielded Hitler from the full force of the blast, and open windows allowed fresh air to disperse the explosion's impact. These seemingly minor details combined to render the attack ineffective, allowing Hitler to emerge unscathed. But the conspirators did not relent. Fueled by the same desperate hope to save Germany from impending ruin, they devised a second, more ambitious plan: Operation Valkyrie. Operation Valkyrie, masterminded by Colonel Claus von Stauffenberg, was to be executed at the Wolf's Lair, Hitler's East Prussian headquarters. The plan was to place a bomb in a conference room during a meeting, ensuring the Führer's close proximity to the explosion. Yet history would repeat itself. Much like the earlier plot, the bomb's placement, seemingly optimal under ideal conditions, was fatally flawed. A robust table and the peculiar architecture of the room conspired to shield Hitler from the full brunt of the explosion. In a cruel twist of fate, what could have been a decisive moment in history turned into another narrowly avoided catastrophe. What drove these men to risk everything? It was not personal ambition, nor was it blind loyalty to a political cause. Rather, it was a desperate conviction that the only path to salvation lay in drastic action. The conspirators were convinced that Hitler's continued leadership was dragging Germany into ruin, an inevitable collapse marked by not only military defeat, but also profound human suffering. They believed that by removing the Führer, they could pave the way for a government capable of negotiating peace, thereby sparing the nation from further devastation. This was a gamble on the future, a hope for a more humane and just order emerging from the chaos of war. The failure of these plots, particularly the notorious July 20th attempt, had dire consequences. The Nazi regime responded with unparalleled brutality, launching a ruthless crackdown on anyone suspected of disloyalty. Nearly 200 conspirators were executed, and the fallout shook the remnants of any dissent within the ranks. Among the martyrs were Claus von Stauffenberg and General Friedrich Olbricht, whose names have since become synonymous with resistance against tyranny. Over time, these men, once branded as traitors, have been reevaluated by many as national heroes, their actions representing a beacon of defiance in the darkest of times. Even today, the legacy of the men of July 20th is honored in Germany. Their sacrifice, though ultimately unsuccessful in changing the immediate course of history, has become a lasting symbol of courage and the moral complexity of rebellion. The assassination attempts against Hitler illustrate one of history's most poignant paradoxes. The battle against tyranny is often waged from within. These men, steeped in desperation, chose a path laden with peril in the hope of steering their nation away from total ruin. Their actions force us to grapple with difficult questions about loyalty, duty, and the ethical cost of resistance in times of crisis. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of World War II's most fascinating and tragic episodes. If you found this exploration into history compelling, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think drove these men to risk everything? And what lessons can we learn from their actions today?